Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Online Racing League with me, George Morgan. I'm alongside my co-commentator and good mate as well. Let's not forget that, Jack Canan. Jack, how are you, sir?
Hello, George. Great to be back once again. And what a fantastic race we've got lined up for you today. We're here in Vietnam for the very first time. Brand new track for these guys. And of course, it was meant to be on the calendar earlier on in the F1 calendar, but we were moving it into the virtual world to get an idea of this circuit in the middle of Hanoi here in Vietnam. But have a look on the graphics and have a look at that grid. Of course, we got a couple of guys here who were drafted in the F1 Esports Pro Draft earlier in the week, and now they're pretty much going to use this as their practice sessions racing each other. Freddie Rasmussen, Tina Nakarinen, Nicholas Longway, Tomek Paradzis, Matthias Collegon, Fabrizio Donoso, Jarno Watmir, he's trying to go 6 out of 6. Wonder if he can do it here. I'll be interested to see. This is going to be amazing.
He certainly could, and I've got to say, as we wait for the screen to obviously adjust, we're currently witnessing yet again more black screen. It seems to be something we suffered with last time. Do bear with me, folks. Obviously, we'll try and bring you the coverage. There it is. We are indeed out here in qualifying. Lots of drivers out on outlaps. This very much eagerly anticipated circuit here at Vietnam. Obviously, the city of Hanoi is hosting this event in the Vietnamese Grand Prix. Obviously, it was designed by the architect Herman Tilk, who has actually got a history of creating very, very extravagant F1 circuits. He has got hundreds, shall I say, or several. I'm not going to say hundreds, but several circuits with under his name right now. That being the likes of Singapore and Bahrain, just to name a few, not forgetting the A1 ring reconstruction that he took part in. He has designed this circuit here in Vietnam and certainly is going to provide us with some spicy racing, that's for sure. And we're very much fortunate as well to see some brand new drivers joining us here at ORL as well. Let's not forget Nicholas Longay, who has now taken up a seat at Renault. Obviously, if any of you guys saw the pro draft, as you were saying, Jack, we've had some new names filter through. Matthias Collegon, of course, who got signed to McLaren. Of course, he's donning the Mercedes as he has done all season, but he got signed by McLaren in the pro draft. We've also got, like I said, Nicholas Longay, Tino Nakarinen, who is now with his new team of Red Bull, as well as many others across the grid. Jarno Watmir, let's not forget, though, looking for that 6th win in a row. Can he do it, Jack?
Well, last week, of course, it came down to penalties and the final corner. Matthias Collegon actually won the race on track, but the penalty just couldn't hang off Jarno Watmir, who came from 18th on the grid to win in the very, very last corner. Of course, poor Josh Idawu should have won that one, but he got a puncture coming towards the last corner, and he unfortunately lost that win. So it is possible to beat Jarno Watmir, but the only problem is Jarno is way too consistent, doesn't pick up penalties, and that's where he gains everything. So be interested to see how he gets on here in Vietnam, because Vietnam, it's a very narrow circuit. It's almost like Azerbaijan if you made it even narrower right in the middle of it. So I think it's going to be quite tricky to overtake here. So I think Jarno, he needs to do kind of not what he didn't do last week and qualify inside that top 10.
Absolutely. You just witnessed there Tomek Paradzis doing a spinneroonie that Booker T would be proud of around this circuit of Hanoi. Certainly don't want to be doing many of those on this circuit. The curbs are ever so violent at this track. You've got to be very cautious when you enter and exit corners. One brush of these curbs, they are slightly raised. It can really take you off circuit, lose traction. These guys are going to find it very difficult to adjust around this new circuit. It's a real tester. plenty of driver on the rise. He's out in the medium tyres right now, and certainly we'll be looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table here at Vietnam. But let's not forget, Jarno Opmeer, our current championship leader, after scoring 5 wins in a row and the only 5 races we've had this season. And surely the Flying Dutchman has got big plans to make it 6 here today.
We'll wait and see. He's got a job to do. He's got to qualify well, because you can see how narrow this is. It's almost, I see what you mean with Azerbaijan. It's almost like the big long straight now into this really tight hairpin. It's almost like a roundabout here as they come through tight to the wall on the inside there and onto the back straight once again, using the main roads in the middle of Hanoi City here in Vietnam. It is a street circuit, as you can most likely tell by how narrow this place is. There's a section right in the middle of it which is identical to the Mexico Stadium section, but that section right there through the S's is just phenomenal. On board with Opmeer here, using every inch of the road, all of the curves. Careful not to use them too much, of course. Now through the left-hander, out to the right-hand side, using all of the wall, chucking it into the left-hander and across the line, almost touching that wall. It's so close. 32.2 for Jarno Opmeer, and he sets the benchmark time, but that final sector is hold your breath for on board with these guys.
The Flying Dutchman once again tickling the top end, but I'm sure he will have to field yet another lap. The 132 certainly seemed to be the place to be, at least for the time being, but track regeneration can really come into play later on in qualifying. Naturally, we've still got 11 minutes remaining here, folks, and there's certainly more to come from these guys. We're looking forward to seeing what will happen. Obviously, plenty of drivers still yet to field lap times, that being the likes of Tomek Peradzik is out and out lap as well. But let's not forget Nicholas Longe, Tino Nakarunen, and as well as Lucas UK, who's already set a lap. But we know that he is an absolute king at setting Spiro flying laps as well. We've seen him do it in time trials. He came out of the blue to score himself on the leaderboards in time trial scenes, and the drivers are very much saying, who is this guy? Who is this man setting these times? And I'm sure we'll see more from him later on as well. But let's not forget this man, Ruben Vallejo. I've been very impressed with him, and obviously he showed us his aggressive streak at Austria, and obviously there was a big question mark around his ability. He performed well at Brazil, and certainly after the Austrian Grand Prix, certainly showed a lot of promise there.
Exactly, yeah, put on a good performance in Bahrain as well, up inside the top 5 at the later stages with a good strategy call, so plenty to look at for Ruben Vallejo here, as we now look at him through the first out, a very tight left hand. That's going to be very tricky, trying to file 20 cars through this first sector here. Long right-hander, you see them using all of the road and more to get through this section, through the S's, tight to the right-hand side wall. They're using everything they can as Zones pops into P2. So there's 3 drivers there on a 132.7, but they're already half a second behind Jarno Opmeer. Now, keep in mind, we still have to wait for guys like Tina Nukarin and Nicholas Longway. We still have to wait for Freddie Rasmussen to set a representative lap time. Colin Gunn as well. We know how quick he is. He's currently the only man in this grid to beat Jarno Opmeer on track this season. He won on track in Bahrain, but the penalty set him back. So he has confidence coming into this week. If he keeps it clean, he can challenge Jarno.
Certainly can. The 2 Renaults now out on track as well, Nicholas Longe and Fabrizio Donoso, as well as Tino Nakarunen. It certainly is a story of the juggernauts here at ORL. Obviously, this is a perfect opportunity for the new Esports Pro Series guys to really test their mettle against the best here in terms of a competitive format. So certainly they'll want to try and do their best out there in order to really start to try and filter in a bit of doubt against their compatriots or their rivals as such. And this is certainly a great place to do it. As we now witness Fabrizio Donoso bombing down under the Armco banner. He's now got to try and negotiate his way around this tricky right-hander. It's almost like a semi-chicane, as you can now see him tackling it now straight on the brakes there, just to coax the car around this left-hander. Very tricky. It's like almost like a massive roundabout, this circuit. You've got so many different corners to negotiate, as well as some pinnacle straights here where you can make severe overtakes. Some serious speed can be dealt here at this long straight, and certainly this is where Fabrizio needs to strike as he now rounds turn 10, heading down towards turn 11, which is, of course, that dreaded hairpin bend. If you can get this one right, you can gain a lot of time. Just breaking after the 100 meter mark, just coming out of it now, and you can see there his teammate in front of him there. Obviously no slipstream in ORL, so they won't be able to make the use of it, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. I thought they were going to try and see if it maybe gave benefit, but of course the slipstream is turned off because when you get to a certain level in esports, you want every little piece of advantage that you can. So Longway was thinking about giving his teammate the slipstream there, but it's not going to work because it is turned off. And we're looking at Donoso now as he comes to this wonderful S section. This is where the cars come alive with the downforce Matteo coming closer to his teammate there as Donoso slaps the wall a little bit there. And Matteo on a 132.3 now. Good effort from him. And Donoso 133.866 for him. So not able to go up any further. Long way 133.6. They're trying to get inside the top 10 on the medium tire, but I'm not quite sure that they're going to be able to do that. They had tried it last week, but it didn't work either. So they may have to switch onto the soft tire because the majority have already switched back onto it.
Well, Jarno Opmeer already out on another outlap. Obviously knows that he can go quicker, but we're riding on board now with this man, Josh Idowu, now as we head into Sector 3 now. Let's see if he can make an improvement on that 134.445. Obviously the Welshman looking to once again head up to the top end of the classification. So if we can forget the several battles we've witnessed between Josh Idowu and the likes of Jarno Opmeer and Speed Barry, it's certainly been a phenomenal start to the season. We now witness Josh Idowu coming into the pits, not happy with that lap time. Lucas UK also on an outlap now. Let's not forget though, Tino Nakarunen, Red Bull's brand new signing now, heading down the long straight here in Sector 2. And I got to say, I'm looking forward to seeing what this man can post after leaving the Williams team now. He's looking to really show what he can do here with the Red Bull Esports team. It's going to be very impressive, I'm sure. He's a great driver, he's got a lot of tenacity, and I'm sure he's going to bring it here to the table here at ORL as he now rounds that left-hander, the hairpin bend, rounding the next section now, heading towards turn 12 and turn 13. And once again, you've got to try and manage the brakes effectively as well. You almost want to brush that curb. It looks like he's slowing up. I'm not quite sure whether he's fancying this lap right now. I think he's going to be setting another one, just obviously trying to conserve the energy to come out on yet another fast lap. Also out on a fast lap though is Matthias Colligon. Let's see what this man can post. Obviously he's rounding that same hairpin that we witnessed Tino Nakarunen on. It's going to be very difficult for these guys to hit the fast laps when they want to, I think, because obviously one brush of the wall can really affect your time, and certainly you don't want that, as we now witness Matthias Colligon, McLaren's new signing, obviously driving, like we said, for the Mercedes team this season. It's going to be very interesting to see what he can do as he now rounds this next right-hander. He's into Sector 3 proper now. Very pacey stuff indeed from Matthias Colligon, looking really dangerous, but I've got to say, coming into the pit lane, not happy once again. Very tricky these guys are finding this Vietnamese circuit.
Yeah, a little brush of the wall, that's the lap gone, so then they have to be inch perfect. So currently, Jarno Opmeer has actually improved to a 32.123, so an improvement for the Alfa Romeo. It's an Alfa Romeo 1-2 currently. What I was impressed there with Matthias Colligon was the way he used the curb. He placed the car on the middle of the curb so that the car would turn for him. He didn't have to put any steering input in. The curb steered for him. So it's amazing what the guys will do to find those extra little tenths, using little tricks in the book to get that extra few hundredths of a second.
Well, the other Williams driver, Zones, currently occupying P4. And this man, we haven't seen anything really of him in Tier 1. Obviously, he's done a little bit in Tier 2. Last season, if you remember, he was up there at the top as well, battling with the likes of Jarno Opmeer as well. But generally considered a mid-card player, but he's come up here today and he's ahead of his teammate Ruben Vallejo, occupying P4 at the moment at a very respectable time. He's 6/10 off Jarno Opmeer's time. Alfa Romeo dominating proceedings at the moment with Nicolas Matteo now in P2 with a 132.323. He's in the pit lane with fresh softs on, so maybe we'll see him once again for one final lap later on. We'll soon find out. Jarno Opmeer is also out on a fast lap, I believe. Not yet, considering to come back in the pits. It may be the case now that he does indeed come in. I think we ought to look at Lucas UK though. The McLaren is currently out on a fast lap now, as we can now see him round in the next semi-chicane, and he cuts the corner, obviously not having the time of his life out there on the circuit. We've still yet to see lap times from Tino Nakarunen, Nathan Deraika, and also Kamil Komon. The two racing points still yet to hit the track. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but both seem content in the pits.
Yeah, it looks like it, or they've tried their laps and validated it, so they're leaving it down to the last kind of attempt here. Tino Nakarunen needs to get himself out on track pretty soon if he wants to get a lap in. Tomek Paradzic as well, he hasn't set a representative lap. Neither has Josh Idowu, and in reality, neither has Fabrizio Donoso, so there's still lots of people to improve. Nicholas Longoy, not too far, himself and Colligon quite close together. Lucas UK also within 133.6. There's 4 drivers there on a 133.6, so the smallest improvement will jump them 4 or 5 positions, but currently it's Jarno Opmeer 32.1, Matteo 32.3, Ben Zabo, really impressive effort for him so far, 32.5, Zones, Vallejo, Freddie Rasmussen, nearly 9/10 of a second off of Jarno Opmeer. I'm sure there's more to give, as he now responds to me and goes out on an outlap, so watch out for Freddie Rasmussen. And what a hell of a team that Red Bull Esports team is. Freddie Rasmussen and Tino Nakarunen teaming up.
Two juggernauts in F1 esports. Red Bull have come here fully armed and dangerous here at Vietnam. It's going to be interesting to see what they can produce. Obviously, given the fact we've got the credentials of Freddie Rasmussen, remember, they won the Constructors' title last season in the F1 Esports Pro Series, and that was with the likes of Joni Tormala and obviously Nicholas Longe as well, who's actually in the Renault here today. But Tino Nakaruna, no slouch on his day as well. I can imagine that the combination of Freddie Rasmussen and Tino's experience is going to be invaluable, certainly on a grid such as this now, as we witness Freddie Rasmussen commence his hot lap. Now let's follow him for this one, folks. He now makes his way down towards turn 1, where you're almost turning back on yourself, and straight into turn 2, as we now see that Red Bull Esports car, that familiar navy livery, making its way around the first couple of corners now. And he's going to be rounded this almost very strange corner, actually. It's almost like a delayed bend, and as you can now see, he's making his way down the long straight now, heading down towards what will be turn 6 and turn 7. Once again, another roundaboutish corner, but again, you can cut pretty much most of the curb there, and indeed he does. Hopefully he's managed to hold on there, just clipping the wall slightly, does Freddie Rasmussen, but holding on nonetheless. A lot of these very close there on the exit on the right hand side. Very nearly lost it now, as we now witness Freddie Rasmussen now bombing down the stretch now, very soon opening up the DRS, which will become available around turn 10, and you can now see him now lighting it up. Away he goes there, the Red Bull driver Freddie Rasmussen. Can he tickle the top end here? Can he knock Jarno Watmere off the top step? That is the bar that has been set at 132.123. Everyone is on outlaps now. This track is going to be fully acclimatized with racing drivers now across the grid, as we now see the Red Bull car now whittling its way through sector 3, the maze-like circuit now. We're in that sector, the final sector. Can he produce what he hasn't produced yet before? Can he hit that pole position here in ORL? As he now misses, near misses, Fabrizio Donoso goes round the next left-hander now. Very soon, the final corner beckons as he comes up towards it, just escapes the wall there. Perfectly done, if I say so myself, across the line, and it's still only a P6. He cannot better the time he already set. Still P7 now for Freddie Rasmussen.
A little bit scrappy from Rasmussen, I think. I think there was traffic as well that didn't really help him, and now he might end up holding up Donoso a little bit there. Donoso's just gone on his fast lap. Falcon Tim actually went faster than Rasmussen on a 132.97, but now we've got plenty of guys on fast lap. But Donoso just going past him there. Vallejo starting his. Nicholas Matteo and Jarno Watmere has just started his final flying lap. Let's see what the Dutchman can do. Can he put it on pole once again?
Well, Nicholas Matteo now out on his fast lap. Jarno's not far behind him either, but let's see what Nicholas can do. Can he knock his teammate off the top perch? Alpha have come here ready and fully stacked here today. They have come here prepared for this Vietnam Grand Prix, and you can tell that Nicholas, certainly himself, no slouch, looking very comfortable around this Sector 3 circuit. A quick lock up there, though. Certainly, I hope I didn't spin the commentator's curse on him as he now rounds the final bend. Perfectly, a little nudge on the wall there. Well, oh my word, pole position! Knocks it off by a fly's eyelash off Jarno Watmere. Camel, come on, out of nowhere, gets into P3 for Racing Point. What a last gasp there from Racing Point. Now we witness now Jarno Watmere. What can he do last minute now? Can he topple his teammate? Literally the gap between them is absolutely minimal, but the track is fully optimized as we now see the Dutchman heading down towards the next right-hander. Goes over the curb, a little sluggish there over that bend. Has Nicholas topped him for once here in ORL? We'll soon find out. He rounds into Sector 3. He's coming round towards this next left-hander. The end beckons here at the end of qualifying. The Dutchman looking to really scrap, claw and gripe his way to the top. Oh, that's very, very slouchy there. A lockup did not help him, and surely this is going to... Yeah, he's backed out. Nicholas, his teammate, might have whacked his teammate off top spot here as we now witness the McLaren coming across the line. Tomek Peradzik and Lucas not able to improve just yet. Tino Nakaruna comes across the line and he cannot improve. He starts at the back of the grid. Red Bull, not their day today.
Lucas UK around the final corner. I think he's got damage of some kind and he only can manage 19th. And what about that? Nicholas Matteo, he's toppled Jarno Watmere by 0.02 of a second. What a great, brilliant job from the young driver, but it's an Alfa Romeo 1-2, and Camel Como, as I said, out of nowhere, puts it on the second row. Ben Sabo, Mateus HYPERX, and then Zones, Vallejo, Kalsper, Nathan DeRoy, and Falcon Roy. But look at this, Rasmussen, Longway, Donoso, Idamu, Colligan, Peradzik, and Nakarinen are all outside the top 10, and they have free tyre choice, remember, so keep an eye on this one. This is going to be really interesting, but what a job from Matteo. Fair play to him.
Well, fair play to both the Alfa Romeo cars. They are both 3/10 clear ahead of their rivals here on the grid classifications. A phenomenal qualifying session for Alfa, and certainly if they can carry that pace through, this puts them as surefire favourites for this race. Nicholas Matteo, P1 for the Alfa Romeo car, pictured as the second car, but he's taken first spot here today. Jarno Watmir on the front row with his teammate Kamil Koman. What a great qualifying lap time there by the Polish driver. Ben Szabo there in P4, Matthias HYPERX in P5, Zones in P6, Ruben Vallejo for Williams in P7, Calcifer, great lap time from him in P8, Nathan van der Rijke in P9, Falcon Roy in P10, Falcon Tim P11, Freddie Rasmussen, a disappointing session, P12, Nicholas Longe P13, Corny P14, Josh Idawu, the Welshman, didn't quite grasp it today, P15, Fabrizio Donoso 16, Colagon 17th, Paradzik 18th, Lucas UK 19th, Tino Nakaranen failed to picture a time. He is starting from the back of the grid. And we'll be right back with you folks after these messages. Welcome back, folks. So you can now see the drivers out on their out lap now. Well, the formation lap, should we say. And you can see there Nicholas Matteo after a very, very decent qualifying session. He's on pole. His best qualifying session of the season. And Alfa Romeo having a great time at the top there. And certainly very impressive. 3/10 clear at the top there, Jack. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing the pace that these guys have. And Matteo, he's finally got the better of his teammate. And so actually, one person pointed out in the chat, very well spotted, Australian Grand Prix qualifying, 0.02 of a second the gap between P1 and 2. It's done it again. It seems to be a very common number around here. But Matteo gets the better of him. Jarno Watmir now just having a look at the strategy outside the top 10. Falcon Tim on medium tyres. Nicholas Longe, got to watch out for him because he's on the hard compound tyre, as is Lucas UK and Tino Nakaranen. Fabrizio Donoso, Colagon, Paradzik and Idawu are all on the medium tyre. Freddie Rasmussen going on the soft tyre, so he wants to get himself up the grid very fast. How about that for some tyre warming skills from Rasmussen? He's just really throwing that thing around. But Matteo and Jarno Watmir, I mean, this is going to be a battle of the ages between the two teammates. The young teammate versus the veteran. I wonder who's going to come out on top here.
Absolutely. Freddie Rasmussen really wanted to get those tyres as warm as possible. You can only imagine that that's for the grip levels around this circuit. They need every ounce of grip on these tyres. It's an asphalt circuit here at Vietnam, and certainly with the fact that they race many high-quality races here around this circuit, obviously two being the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia and the Thailand Super Series. So this circuit is very familiar with high-quality racing. Interesting to note as well, we've got about 4 drivers here on medium tyres. Well, saying that, we've actually got more than that. We've got 5 drivers on medium tyres. Josh Idawu and Nicholas Longe, unfortunately, obviously DQing on the formation lap, though they will rejoin us, obviously, for the start of the race. But it'll be interesting to see what strategies are actually put to work here. Tino Nakaranen and Lucas UK at the back, starting on hards, as well as Nicholas Longe. So the strategies will certainly be differing all across the grid. And we're now waiting for the drivers to line up around this 3.488 mile circuit. It's going to be great, guys. Stay with us in the chat box. And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 go! And it's a bit of a delayed start, but nonetheless, Yes, they fire away. The two Alphas getting away well. Freddie Rasmussen as well, clocked in behind the several cars here. A bit of a mix-up across the grid. Ghosted cars are everywhere at the moment. Sorry, we seem to have lost a little bit of coverage there. This hasn't been ideal. Josh Heidemann, though, getting a very, very good start indeed. Knocks himself up to P3. Fabrizio Donoso as well up there, according to my telemetry. Jack, I think we've got some more issues with the online lobby.
Just a small bit, but I can tell you, Jarno Watmir has got his teammate already. He takes the lead ahead of him, so it's Matteo, then Kamil Korma still holding on to this one as now the graphics refresh on our screen. So it's HYPERX, Zones, Vallejo, Benzalba, Calcifer, Tim, and long way up to 10th. But yeah, Jarno Watmir around the outside of turn 2. He's got his teammate, and he's already checking out.
Absolutely unreal scenes here. Jarno Watmir, though, scooting along. He's already 8/10 clear, as you now say, Jack. Nicholas Matteo in hot pursuit, though. In behind him, Kamil Korma in the racing point, trying to close the gap. In behind him, Marius HYPERX there as well, gunning forwards in the Haas. In behind him, you've got the two Williamses, Zones and Ruben Vallejo. As the grid now begins to sort itself out, we see a battle there. Ben Sabo getting himself up into P6 after tackling Ruben Vallejo. A great move by the former champion here at ORL. We've got a tussle here between Calcifer, the AlphaTauri team, starting to try and puncture and whittle their way through the Williams lineup here as they make their way around lap 1 into sector 3 proper. The drama is starting to unfold already.
Yeah, Nicholas Longway's making good progress here. He has got Freddie Rasmussen right behind him, but he's on the hard tyre inside the top 10, so it's a good start for him for now. Rasmussen starting to put pressure on him on the fresh, soft tyre. Falcon Roy already into the pit lane, obviously with wing damage on the front of that Ferrari, but it's Otmir who leads. Matteo in second, Kamil Korma in third, doing an excellent job. And then the Haas behind him got a yellow flag in sector 3, and it looks like, oh, there's been a spinner. That is, I think, Corny, in the Mercedes, spinning in the last corner. Wing damage on the Mercedes already, not a good one. Jarno Watmir nearly a second clear already. He's flying out front.
He certainly is, and he's starting to really push ahead. Nicholas Matteo currently 8.5 behind him, still maintaining that gap though, and certainly he'll benefit from the DRS when it becomes available on lap 3. But like you say, with this track, DRS sort of becomes a little bit nullified. If you can't take the corners effectively, DRS becomes something that you can't be concerned about, because obviously you will not be able to use it if you're outside the second gap with the car in front of you. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys are able to adjust themselves at a circuit such as this. It's not like Singapore, it's not like Azerbaijan. It is certainly, this Vietnam circuit is one of a kind here in Formula 1. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys cope with it. Kamil Korma, though, having a great drive so far. The predicted pit stop strategy, you can see flickering up several times below. Obviously, I can't imagine these guys will adopt the same circuit, the same issue. As you can now see, sector 2, yellow flag there, Jack.
Falcon Tim spinning the Ferrari, but he manages to get back going again with no damage, but he loses a lot of positions as they see Colligan and Donoso going side by side here. The Ferrari trying to come back around the outside. Falcon Tim manages to get in front of Donoso. As we were watching that as well, Nicholas Longway losing the position to Freddie Rasmussen, and Rasmussen pulled off a lovely move in the middle sector, but now he's starting to push on. He's already about a second behind Calcifer. Calcifer's already checked out of the DRS range. The DRS will be enabled on this lap, and he has broken DRS as Jarno Watmir, and Matteo has broken DRS on Kamil Korma as well. So a good job from the Alfa Romeo so far, but Matteo won't have the opportunity to attack his teammate because he doesn't have that rear wing flap open.
Well, Jarno Watmir now careering away, as you now say, Jack. He's clear by 1.3 seconds, a massive gap now. Nicholas Matteo certainly trying to gun all over the back of his teammate. Of course, he's still got Kamil Korma there, in behind him there. The Racing Point, the Pink Panther, still in amongst it. He's within near enough a second there, 8/10 to be exact. Marius HYPERX in behind him, as well as Zones in P5. Ben Zabo, who has been tussling with the two Williamses since the start of the Grand Prix. Now in lap 3, still once again battling with Zones as things stand. But as you can see, still there's an even spread across the field by Jarno Watmir. He's now careering away.
Just been looking at the pit stops. We've already had Nakarinen, we've had Donoso and Lucas UK in. They all had wing damage, and that's going to cost them big time now. Nakarinen back onto a fresh set of softs, Donoso onto a fresh set of softs, Lucas onto the medium tyre. So there's been obviously an incident we didn't see further down, but it's knocked out a lot of people in this one. But now they've got a long way to go in this one. So, but you can see now, Kamil Korma within DRS range of Nicholas Matteo, and this is a really impressive drive from the Polish driver so far. Highest placed Racing Point, his teammates down in 18th spot after the pit stop, but really on for a really surprising result if he can hang on to the back of Matteo here.
Well, we haven't seen much of Kamil Common. Of course, he's missed a lot of the races here in Tier 1, but he's certainly looking good right now and certainly putting the hours on this circuit. He's currently 3/10 behind Nicholas Matteo and has the DRS as well, so he could be having a straight fist fight here with the Alfa Romeo car in front of him. It's going to be very interesting to see how Kamil Common can adapt to this. He could be on form for his best result of the season if he can keep this up. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3 once again. I think Lucas UK has become a cropper there. I'm not sure whether he's just pitted onto the tyres, whether that's causing him to go slow out of the pit lane. But looking ahead, though, you can see there the two cars tussling there, the Racing Point and the Alfa. Jarno, though, a distant memory. He's in with 2 seconds flat ahead of Nicholas Matteo.
2 seconds already. Just to update on Lucas UK, he's really struggling. He's spun it twice on the outlap, and it also picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So his front wing's broken, and he is out. He is done, and I'm not surprised because he was having a torrid time. But see, Kamil Common with DRS. He thought about it into the tight hairpin, but it's not easy to make a move into that hairpin. But now you can see Matteo is almost a cork in the bottle. Now he's got Common, he's got HYPERX, he's got Zones, also Ben Zabo now in the AlphaTauri is also on the back of this train as well, so we'll see how this is going to get on. But the more they battle, the more Jarno Motmir checks out.
You can imagine the pressure, the sweat dripping from Nicholas Matteo's brow right now with Kamil Common in his rear view mirror, gunning all over the back of that Alpha. Now we're in Sector 3 of lap 4, and as you can see, Jarno Motmir, like I said before, a distant memory, 2.1 seconds ahead of Nicholas Matteo. Now his teammate Nicholas has got it all to do. No DRS now. Kamil Common going all over him here like a nasty rash as they make their way down towards turns 1 and 2. In the background, Matthias Whippetch, who I gotta say is really doing the business here for Haas in P4. He's really risen to the occasion and is fighting amongst that of the Williams and the AlphaTauri of Ben Zabo and Zones. As you can now see, Nicholas Matteo still whittling, gripping to the track to try and negotiate his way around Sector 1. But you can now see Kamil Common with the DRS open, trying to career up on that stricken Alfa Romeo as they come up now towards the next right-hander. He's still not managed to close the gap enough. A little bit of locking up as they make their way around the semi-chicane. Fabrizio Donoso setting the fastest lap on softs after a quick tyre change. It certainly is all to play for here, Jack.
Yeah, Donoso and Nakarinen are on track together, so they're just using each other to catch up to the train in front. Talking of a man who's catching up to the train in front, Freddie Rasmussen, he's been setting some decent laps. He's now on the back of this big long train of Calcifer, Vallejo, Ben Zabo, Zones, HYPERX, Como. He's essentially on the back of the train for P2. And Nicholas Longue only 1.6 back from him on the hard compound tyre. So do not rule out Nicholas Longue. He is going long into this race, and we'll see what he's able to do. And also, a wild Welshman, Josh Idawu, doing a nice job. He's climbed the field up into 11th place on the medium tyre and setting some decent lap times at the moment. He's right in there.
Well, the biggest winner so far could well be Nicholas Longue if he can keep this up, because he's on the hard tyres. He can take them a considerable distance. Also, Josh Idawu as well, like you say, might have pulled off a strategy masterclass. Those medium tyres certainly serving him well. He's risen right up the grid, obviously due to all the incidents earlier on. He's just keeping it clean, keeping it out of the walls, and obviously this will give him a great opportunity to plough himself through the field and maybe finish strong here. It depends on how these guys want to work the strategy, whether they want to try and negotiate a two-stop, but with the amount of corner taking, as well as the high intense speeds down the main straight, you can imagine the tyre wear must be falling off reasonably rapidly. Can they make the one-stop work effectively here? I mean, of course, these guys are experts, they're professionals in the esports game. You can only imagine if they can make a one-stop work, they certainly will. As we can now see Freddie Rasmussen all over the back end of Calcifer now. He's managed to really close the gap, only within 4/10 now as he now rounds the semi-chicane. You can see him right on the back of the sister car now, and certainly you have to think that there's going to be an overtake as Fabrizio Donoso gets past Falcon Roy around turn 2.
So these guys trying to make up some ground. Tina Nakarinen is 17 seconds behind the next car. That's a whole pit stop behind. So they've got a lot of ground to make up. But yes, Freddie Rasmussen now putting the pressure on the AlphaTauri of Calcifer as they come down the back straight here. But also the AlphaTauri also has DRS. There's not a hell of a lot that Freddie Rasmussen can do about this one. So he's going to have to sit behind. There's a big long train of cars all the way up to Nicholas Matteo. But Jarno Motmir 2.6 seconds out clear at the moment. With plenty still to do, though, he can't relax, because if he makes any sort of mistake, he goes in that wall, he's going to break that front wing and cause some problems. But Kamil Common dropped a second behind Matteo now, and now he's under severe pressure from the Haas behind.
He is. Matthias HYPERX all over the back of that Racing Point. Certainly the Jack and Jones livery on the halo. Certainly looking menacing right now. The Haas car starting to swerve up there. You can see the Williams in behind as well. Zones and Ben Sabo both having heroic races at the moment here in lap 7 of 28. This DRS train has been pretty much in existence since the very start. As you can now see, that Haas starting to get closer and closer to the back of Camel Common. And now, by the looks of it, Nicholas Matteo has now managed to regroup himself and gather himself and get ahead by a second. So he's just outside that DRS point now, but Camel Common doing all he can to try and get back inside it. He needs to get that DRS working for him again, or at least try and get himself utilising the corners better so we can close the delta time gap. As you can see, Jarno Watmere near enough 3 seconds clear now. The Dutchman is flying and going, and I can imagine trying to conserve some of that energy as well so we can store it up later on in the race to try and increase it for when the drivers make their pit stops. Obviously a great opportunity for him to utilise the strategy as best he can, and certainly with a 3-second lead, that'll give him a great opportunity. Camel Common now just over 8.5 tenths of a second, and that's coming down. As you can see, Nicholas Matteo getting closer and closer to the front end of that Racing Point of Camel Common. In behind though, Camel's pulling along the likes of Matthias HYPERX, Zones and Ben Sabo, as well as many others who are part of this DRS train. It's certainly proven to be a very special Grand Prix, this one. Vietnam, welcome to F1.
Just been looking. Nicholas Longway's hard tires are starting to come into effect now, because he's closed the gap to Rasmussen. He was 1.6 behind on the previous lap. He's pulled a second on Rasmussen, and now he's on the back of this DRS train. Well, he's in a brilliant position. Jarno Watmere is pitting. Our leader is into the pit lane. I noticed a virtual safety car deployed as well, so there's been a shunt somewhere further down the order, but now everybody's in. Rasmussen's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's not going to help him, but a virtual safety car already out, and Jarno Watmere's into the pit lane. Matteo stays out. Common stays out, HYPERX stays out, Zone stays out, and so it's an early stop for Jarno Watmere, but the virtual safety car comes out at just the right moment to minimise the time loss.
I think that's a testament to the grip on these tyres. I think obviously they must be falling off slightly, and already Nathan van der Rijke is out of this race. A DNF right there. Drive-through penalty as well for Tino Nakarunen. It has not been Red Bull's day here today, and certainly they're down the back of the grid order. Both of them suffering time constraints and penalties. That's not going to help them at the end of the race. You can now see CRG Camel Common in P2, currently chasing Nicholas Matteo, and they have been gunning for each other since the very start. But obviously Nicholas doing well so far, maintaining the gap of 1.1 seconds. In behind Matthias HYPERX there in P3 for Haas. Zone's being pulled along as well. As you can now see, the two Ferraris moving ahead of Corny now. I'm not sure whether there's an issue with that Mercedes, but as things stand, the two Ferraris moving ahead. Freddie Rasmussen still relegated down to P13. Calcifer down to P12. Ruben Vallejo has dropped back slightly too. He's in P11. Matthias Colligon is up there for dancing still. Remember, he was so pacey last week. I just feel that because Vietnam is such a different circuit, a lot of these drivers are struggling to adapt. But just look at the likes of Nicholas Longe and Josh Heidewu. Those strategies at the start of the race might prove beneficial, as we've now lost Tino and Fabrizio.
Yeah, they both retired in the pit lane, so it's a shame for those guys. But that virtual safety car would not have helped Nicholas Longway, because now Jarno Watmere's on fresher tyres and he's only about 3-4 seconds behind. So it's not ideal for Nicholas Longway. He has a lot more further to go in this Grand Prix on those hard compound tyres. So the virtual safety car just came at exactly the wrong point for him, but the perfect time for Jarno Watmere, just as he was entering the pit lane, to put on a set of fresh medium tyres. And he minimises the time loss. He's already on the back of Tomek Peradzik as we head through turn number 1 for the 9th time today. But it is Matteo still leading, so he's still out there and putting in some decent laps, and he's got 1.2 over Camel Common, who's also built a small gap over Mateusz Wojcik there in P3 and 4, as we got a slow Renault there. I think that could have been the ghosted car for Fabrizio Donoso, so he's still lapping around, but that's it there, and that's causing a few problems for the leaders right there as he tries to pull out of the way, and that's not ideal. As Donoso now pulled over to the side, but that's allowed Nicholas Longway to get right into it here up on the back of Ben Sabo, so his teammate unintentionally helping him there as they come down the back straight. DRS open on the Renault here as they come down towards the hairpin. 2 DRSs here for the Ben Sabo on the outside line of Zones heading towards the hairpin. He's not going to be able to do that around the outside. It'll be so tricky to do. do it if he's able to pull it off. He just runs out of room. Longway now trying to find some space here. He's got a little bit alongside, but he just gets the door shut by Ben Saba and the AlphaTauri as they come down to the right-hander. But some cheeky tactics by Fabrizio Lanoso's Ghost there, blocking the lap traffic. And now you can see Longway benefited massively from that. And Freddie Rasmussen, unfortunately, now out of this race as well. We're losing the big guns.
We certainly are. Nicholas Longay, though, making a move on the outside there of Ben Sabo into sector 3. What a stunning manoeuvre there from the Renault. Albeit Benz has moved into the pit lane, but what a phenomenal bit of exquisite driving there from Nicholas Longay to move on the outside, get it done. But now he's under pressure. Zones is now in the pits as well. You can see there Josh Idawu, though, the Welshman, back in the fray here. The long tyre strategies here by Josh and Nicholas now coming into fruition. These two are going to be tested, but as you can imagine, those mediums done by Josh Idawu, they need to be utilised now before it's too late. The wear is starting to fall off on the cars ahead, as you can now see. Nicholas Longay now in P3. Has he utilised the perfect strategy? That is the question. Albeit Jarno Opmeer also moving up the grid. It's starting to become and see a battle of the Titans.
Jarno is going to have a humongous gap when these guys pit. He has pitted. The next car that has pitted behind him is Ruben Vallejo in P8, and he's got a huge gap over them. He's got about 3-4 seconds over those. So these guys are going to lose out when they come into the pit lane. So Opmeer pitted at exactly the right time under the virtual safety car. These guys still all have to pit yet. So it's all falling into place for Jarno Opmeer today, and we'll wait and see what's going to happen later on. But currently there's nobody that can match him. Matthias HYPERX spinning on the straight. I wonder, was there contact between somebody there, but he's facing the wrong way on the back straight, and that's such a shame. He was having a fantastic run of things today, and he's going to fall way down to the back of the field now with wing damage, trying to do a 50 million point turn in the middle of the track right there. Manages to get back going again, but what a shame for Matthias HYPERX. He was having such a good race today.
Well, the Welshman, Josh Idawu, now trying to pull away. He knows he's got Jarno Opmeer starting to tickle away at that delta time now. You can see there, 1.1 seconds the gap now as Nicholas Mateo goes into the pit. Oh, sorry, Kamil Common goes into the pit. Sorry, Nicholas Mateo retaking the lead. Nicholas Longay moves up to P2. Josh Idawu in P3, and the pit lane has opened for the Welshman. Whether he's picked that as part of a strategy, I'm not sure, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. Matthias Colligon up into P6. Kamil Common is now dropping down the grid order, but he's picked medium tyres, so a very articulate move there from Kamil Common. Obviously, a lot of the guys favouring the mediums over the hards right now. The hards are really struggling around this circuit, and naturally I'd imagine these guys are trying to utilise the faster compounds in order to make the most of this circuit and be quicker around some of the chicanes and corners. And certainly as we now see Ruben Vallejo, he's going to be under pressure from Calcifer very soon as well. But looking further up the grid, as we have yellow flags in sector 3, Jarno Opmeer now has reduced the delta by half once again on Josh Idawu.
Yeah, that was Matthias HYPERX hitting the pit wall, interestingly enough, but he's now retired. But Jarno Opmeer, I think what he's going to do is he's going for the two-stop. Aggressive strategy, so he's pushing hard as he can, and the guys out front are going to push it for the one-stop. So he needs to get through this traffic as quickly as possible and build the gap as best he can, switch out of the softs at the end, and we'll see what he's able to do when they get to the end. But certainly Nicholas Longway is going to try and stretch to the one-stop as he has a huge power slide in the Renault coming through there, but he's got Josh Idawu right behind him and Jarno Opmeer. As remember last week, Josh Idawu getting caught by Opmeer in the very last corner after a puncture. He had the win in the bag, but now he's got him back behind him again as Nicholas Mateo, 10 laps on the softs, is coming into the pit lane.
Absolutely, you can see Jarno Opmeer there, the Dutchman looking menacing in behind Josh Idawu. I'm sure that the Welshman's had a quick look in his mirrors and seen that Jarno Opmeer is right on his tail as they come down towards turn 1 now. You can see the Dutchman eyeing up a tasty move. Oh my word, diving, oh my word, he's been taken out. The Dutchman has come a crop here in turn 1 and he's lost that front wing end plate on the right hand side. The Dutchman went in for the manoeuvre, but it was too little too late. He is down to P4. Tomek has taken advantage. Could we be seeing a twist at the top here of the Vietnamese Grand Prix drama here, Jack?
Yeah, no, that was, I think, a little bit unnecessary from Jarno. He had the pace, he could have done it later on in the race, but now you can see the front wing damage is gone. He threw one up the inside, it did not work, but now that's put things in the bag, or put them in the hand, really, of Longway and Idawu. And you can see Tomek Paradzik is also in there as well. Now, he hasn't lost a lot of time, but he will lose a lot of time with the wing damage as well. This is going to cost him a huge amount of time. And Ruben Vallejo, remember, he's on the same strategy as Jarno Opmeer, so he may be able to catch up, but this is going to hurt him massively now with the wing damage. and possibly a little bit of impatience creeping in from the Dutchman there. And you can see it is going to cost him massively, but Nicholas Longue is your leader. Josh Idawu putting the pressure on.
Certainly is. We nearly had a tussle there at the hairpin bend as well. Josh Idawu breaking extremely late, nearly colliding into the back of that Renault. As you can now see, Nicholas Longue doing all he can, sticking to the sector 3 curves as best he can to keep this Welshman at bay. Josh Idawu gunning in his Haskar all over the back end of that Renault. As you can now see them entering sector 3 proper now, at the end of sector 3, looking up both at the final couple of corners. You can now see the Haas now careering round the perfect exit and entrance in that final corner, heading into lap 13 now on 28. Lucky number maybe for some, as you can now see Nicholas Longue careering round turns 1 and 2. Josh Idawu in hot pursuit. Tomek Peradžič looking strong. Jarno Watmir still in a bounce, so he's doing well despite missing an end plate. Incredible scenes here, given the fact the downforce is of the absolute most importance around this Vietnamese circuit.
I guess what this has proved, ladies and gentlemen, is Jarno Watmir is not a robot. He is human too. He makes mistakes, and he's made one today, but it's all not over. He's driving the hell out of that Alfa Romeo with the wing damage. He's still keeping with Tomek Peradžič. He's on fresher tyres. That will help him a small bit, but the downforce is going to absolutely kill him here as they head through the S section later on. But you can see now, Idawu just keeping the pace with Longue at the moment, because he knows Longue has even longer to go right now. Josh Idawu is going to be coming into the pits very shortly on the medium tyre. But Otmir, kind of the DRS, is keeping him in range of Tomek Peradžič as they come through the hairpin now. You can see the end plate missing on the right-hand side. Matthias Collegon there in P5. He has got a penalty again, so he's going to fall further down the order as Kamil Komont makes the move on zones there. These guys all in the same strategy. And Nicholas Matteo, he just pitted on the previous lap. He's on fresh tyres. He needs to get a move on through these guys.
Yeah, let's not forget Nicholas Matteo, who's now on fresh and medium tyres. Don't forget about him. He could still be a factor at the end of this Grand Prix, obviously, depending on what happens further up the grid order. Let's not forget that Tomek and Josh Idawu have got 12-lap old mediums on, as well as Matthias Collegon. But you can see that Jarno Watmir still doing well to stay in the staying on track there with Tomek Peradžič. He's still within a second, so he still has DRS on that McLaren. So incredible that he's managed to do that. A great show of driving despite losing that end plate and that downforce, certainly that is ever so crucial around Vietnam. Josh Idawu though now within 7/10 of a second still of Nicholas Longue, very nearly brushing the wall there. These guys getting so close to the track limits as Nicholas Matteo now has managed to get past zones, albeit very interesting circumstances there, cutting almost the corner. I think he must have had an issue going into that bend. It's a very tricky circuit here. You can obviously lose it and career off the circuit and end up into obscurity, but nonetheless Nicholas Matteo in P9, he's managed to get ahead of zones.
So we lose Corny just there. I think zones just opened the door for Matteo. He knows he's quicker, so he's going to try and follow him, let him drag him up a little bit further maybe. Kamil Komont already built a small little gap there over the 1.8 seconds he's got. He's kind of on his own there. Kalsfer still running really well there in 7th place. Then Ruben Vallejo, Collegon, Jarno Watmir still keeping the pressure on Tomek Peradžič right here in the McLaren. But there's a 1.7 second gap up to our leaders right there. Jarno Watmir is still in a very good position here now though, because remember, he's already pitted. Our leaders have not, so they're going to fall down the order. But I wonder now, with the wing damage, does he back off and try and just get these mediums to the end? Can he get those mediums to the end, or is it a puncture risk? We don't know, but maybe he's just going to pace himself a little bit more now, and we'll see what he's able to do later on. But certainly his tyres are still fresh, but when those tyres start to wear off, that's going to become a real handful of a car.
Well, it's interestingly enough, you can see that the gap between Jarno Watmir and Matthias Collegon is still very much under the 5-second mark, and that hasn't really moved at all. Jarno's still doing extremely well despite the wing damage, and he's still in touch with Tomek. That time gap has not changed. You can now see he's actually just under, or just over, 6/10 of a second, so he's still very much gunning for the back end of that McLaren. Tomek still in with a chance, though. Ahead of him, Josh Idawu, just about 1.5 seconds away. Further up, Josh Idawu trying to close the gap between him and Nicholas Longue, but Nicholas doing a sterling job in this race in his first visit in ORL, and a phenomenal drive it is too. He's cultivated a masterclass of a strategy from the back of the grid, and certainly he's going to look here to try and seal the deal here with still many laps to remain. And we're just over the halfway point now, lap 15 of 28. Still a long way to go though. Strategy could still be a factor at the end of this race.
Matteo picks up a penalty just as we mention him going through the field right there, but I'm just looking at a couple of other guys as well who pitted about 6 lap. Well, actually, Matteo's still on with a shot of a podium right here because all these guys up front have to pit. He's on fresh enough tyres here, which could be there. As you can see, Ruben Vallejo with the move on Colligan. He's got newer tyres. There's not much that Colligan could have done about that, and he loses the spot. So Colligan's going to fall down the order. Oh, he's in trouble here. Touches the wall a little bit there, loses the end plate. And I wonder, was that just a lapse of concentration or something? But he's just broken his wing on top of having the worn tyres. I'd be surprised if we didn't see Matthias Colligan come into the pit lane right now as he files through. He's got Calcifer catching him as well. So the tyres have fallen off the cliff, I think, for Matthias Colligan with the wing damage. Well, and in he comes. And it's not been the best race for Colligan today, but all is not lost.
Certainly not, and they're now starting lap 16 to 28. You can now see the cars entering turns 1 and 2. Tomek Peradzik there in P3, a little bit of a lockup once again from Jarno Opmeer. No surprise given the grip levels on this car. Josh Heiderwoo starting to drop off now from Nicholas Longue. Maybe the mediums, like you say, as they make their way up to laps 15 and 16, maybe starting to feel the pinch slightly, and this might prove an issue for Tomek as well, who's trying to keep the Dutchman at bay as they now make their way down the stretch. You can see there Jarno pulling and punching as best he can with these medium tyres. Currently 7 laps on that compound at this stage with wing damage. He's got it all to do right now, but can he pull it off? The Dutchman will be the man to do it. He's the only one that we know that can actually career around a circuit such as Vietnam without a suitable front wing, as we now see them now heading down the main straight, and very soon he'll have a chance here with DRS. Will he manage to close on Tomek now, as you can now see careering up on the back rear wing of that McLaren, the orange McLaren, making his way down towards the hairpin bend. Jarno not going for a zealous move though. He's going to stay in behind the McLaren, not ready just yet. Patience is a virtue, he says, as they now round that bend now, heading into what will be the latter stages of Sector 2. Still very much battles in hand here, Jack.
They're still managing to build a gap over Vallejo, who's kind of Jarno's closest threat, because they're all on the same strategy behind him. So they're still managing to open out that gap there, which is crucial for him as Longue now breaks the gear. He's in. Nicholas Longue is in. Heiderwoo follows him in. I think, does Tomek Peradzik follow him in as well? Yes. And Opmeer is in too. So he's going to come in and fix the wing. And we'll see. He's probably going to switch to possibly the softs or another set of the medium tyre. But Opmeer is pitting. Ruben Vallejo, what's he going to do? Does he stay out or does he come in as well? But we can see our leaders are in now. It's a battle in the pit lane.
It's going to be interesting, but don't forget, Jarno's going to have to spend a little bit of extra time there changing that front wing. Kamil Komon has now moved up to P3. Not forgetting Ruben Vallejo now, who's in front, leading this Grand Prix. Calcifer up to P2 as well. A great showing from these two, but obviously, whether they could get these mediums to the end is another question altogether, or will they have to pit for fresh softs before the end of this race? That is the major question. Lots of drama here, yet to unfold here at Vietnam. Nicholas Matteo, still very much in the fray. Nicholas is now on soft tyres. All the drivers leading up to the point of pit stops have now gone on to the softs. It's going to be a very interesting end to this Grand Prix, but as things stand, Ruben Vallejo leading the way, but don't count out Nicholas Matteo. His strategy might yet pull off.
Well, at the moment, anybody can win this race. Everybody's got a winning strategy. We got to watch out now because Nicholas Longue, Josh Heiderwoo are both on fresh soft tyres. They're going to be flying in the last couple of laps here. Tomek Peradzik, he's got a 1.8 second gap over Jarno Opmeer, which is, of course, the pit lane deficit it took for him to change the wing. Now, Opmeer's got to get his head down and put the charge on. We know how fast he is. He can still do this. But now, essentially, what I think is the battle for the lead is Nicholas Longue versus Josh Heiderwoo. Matteo's still in a good spot. Remember, he has a penalty, so if these guys manage to close up to him, it could be game over for Matteo. He needs to keep his head together, but Longue and Heiderwoo going to work together to catch up to the field in front.
They certainly do, and they've got only 10 laps, or just over 10 laps to do it in. They're in Sector 3 now, Nicholas Matteo and Kamil Komon. Currently half a second separating these two. There's obviously a battle further down the grid between Nicholas Longue and obviously what looks to be Josh Heiderwoo as well. A bit of a change at the top there. Zone's now going into the pits. Obviously this will move Nicholas Longue back up to P6. Josh Heiderwoo and now up to P7 as well. And no doubt there'll be a cluster of cars following suit as well as they now round towards turn 1 and 2. It's certainly going to be a very, very highly, hotly contested finish in this Vietnam Grand Prix here at Hanoi, and certainly it's been a corker nonetheless. We've had no end of DNS, 5 DNFs in this race, and certainly not something we like to see, as we now see Nicholas Longue surging up now on Ben Sabo. The Frenchman dives down the inside now. Here comes Longue. Boom! He gets into P5. The Renault moving up now, puts a gap in between him and Josh Heiderwoo. Josh Heiderwoo now needs to dispatch Ben Sabo ASAP to stay in touch with Nicholas Longue.
grip difference between the hards and the softs. Here comes Idaho now with the slipstream. There isn't any slipstream to use, but he might be able to. He has a grip advantage with the soft tire. He has to go to the outside line. Now has got the DRS, but as does Ben Salvos. He's going to have to outbrake him into the hairpin here with the DRS. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's going to have to try and be brave on the outside line with the hard tires on the inside line. Manages to go around the outside now with the grip advantage on the exit. Can he get Ben Salvo? Great racing so far, still alongside into the right hand. He should have the inside line here. Outbreaks Ben Salvo, manages to get in front of him. Salvo tries to come back at him, but he can't with the hard tire. Great move, Josh Idaho had to get it done.
Certainly did. Josh Idaho, a great flex of the muscles there by the Welshman, moves himself up to P6, and now he's still in hot pursuit of Nicholas Longuet, still within that second gap as they're now rounding the final couple of bends of Sector 3. A lock up there by the Welshman. Looking further back, Jarno Watmere now within a second of Tomek Paratic. Further up, you've got cars in the pits. Kalsver now in the pits as well. Camel Common now within 3/10 on Nicholas Mateo. After a brief overtake there, I think Nicholas managed to dispatch the racing point there, and naturally now the Alfa Romeo in P2. But like you say, penalties could decide his fate later on in the race, with now hotly contesting Nicholas Mateo. He's within a second of Camel Common.
So Valeja still leads, Mateo 1.9 behind. Remember that Mateo, of course, has the penalty, and Nicholas Longuet, they're flying up to these guys already. So Longuet is in the box seat here for this race victory, but of course we can see it later on. They may need to pit again for another set of tires if these wear off pretty quickly, because there's still a decent chunk of time still to go on this. But Longuet has already caught up to Camel Common. Josh Idaho 1.3 seconds behind. Jarno Watmere closing up to the back of Tomek Paratic. He's got a big gap then to try and close up to the guys up front. He's got 3.8 then to Ben Salvo. Ben Salvo, of course, on older hard compound tires, and mightn't take him too long to catch up with Longuet now. He's got to be careful, he's got to be measured. He cannot afford to break his wing trying to get past these guys here, but he needs to do it pretty quickly because those soft tires will not last. Look how close he's to the back of Common through there.
He is sensationally close there. You can see the Frenchman there literally right to the... Oh my word, a bit of squirrely nuts there from Camel Common. Very nearly lost the car. These two are gunning like wild dogs here in Sector 3. You can see them all over each other. The Camel Common trying to defend against the Frenchman, Nicholas Longuet. What a dynamic move on the inside. The Frenchman, the yellow Renault, powers himself into P3. An exquisite bit of racecraft. Nicholas Longuet, he's come to party.
And Idaho is going to follow him through as well on the inside. A little bit possibly an easier move for him here into turn one on the inside line. Gets it done. But wow, Longuet threw that up the inside. Now, next target, Nicholas Mateo, and then our race leader currently, Ruben Valejo. Valejo will have to pit again, I'm sure, with 11-lap old medium tires, excuse me. But now Longuet lines up Nicholas Mateo. He's got DRS on him. Mateo does not have DRS on Valejo, but Idaho, as a result of that little battle, has now closed right up to the back of the Renault. But ideally, what he needs to do is just stay behind Longuet and just use him as sort of a battering ram to make his way through.
I think the dark horse in this race, so is Ruben Valejo. He's still holding on to P1, only on 11-lap old mediums, albeit, but can he take them to the end? He might be able to do it here, the Williams driver. Certainly still holding on to P1. As 6th Nicholas Mateo, though, in dire straits, because here comes Nicholas Longuet. He rises up there on the Alfa Romeo, coming down towards the hairpin bend. Who's going to outbrake who here? Down round this final corner, the Renault and the Alfa going in together. Here comes Josh Idaho looking to snake down the middle, but you can see there that the Alfa has defending successfully. A phenomenal bit of defending from Nicholas Mateo, as we now see Longuet all over the back of him. Josh Idaho also in behind as well. It looks like Longuet's going to apply the same tactics as what he provided Camel Common as they are round into Sector 3. They've got a series of corners to take, high-speed corners. The Frenchman all over the back of the Alfa now. They're going mano a mano. Nicholas is really under pressure as they come round towards the next left, but he defends very well indeed. But can he hold on round the straight?
Mateo's really being a cork in the bottle right here. Surely he should be able to get him into the turn number one here as they head down the back straight onto lap 21. Here comes Longuet on the inside. Outbreaks the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa's still sticking his nose in there, but he runs him out wide there. Now here comes Idaho around the outside here. Can he make it work on the soft tire? Can't quite get through. Longuet's now got a bit of breathing space over the Welshman here. Now onto the DRS part. Look at the grip that Idaho gets through there on the DRS now. And now Longuet trying already for the lead on Valejo. Valejo weaving, trying to break the slipstream down towards the next part of the corner, almost touching him coming into the stadium section. But Longuet now losing time to the guys behind. He needs to get through and push on here as we come to the dying few laps.
Well, here comes the Renault now as they make their way down the straight. He moves alongside Ruben Valejo, and this is where the crucial manoeuvre will be made to decide the P1, that's for sure. Here comes Nicholas this. Down the outside there of the Williams. They make their way down towards Hairpin Bend. He takes him. Here comes Josh Idawu, the Welshman. Out of nowhere, they're going 3-wide battle here, but no, it's going to be Nicholas holding on to P1. A phenomenal move, though, from Josh to take P2. It's going to be a straight fight now in between the Welshman and the Frenchman. All to play for. 7 laps remaining. It's certainly going to be a corker.
Jarno Opmeer double overtake on Peradzik and Ben Saba. Now he's into 6th place, and now he goes on the charge because these guys are only 2.4 seconds up the road from him. Do not discount this man because he's done it before. So we'll wait and see. But the battle for the lead now, Longway versus Idawu to the end. Can they get these soft tires to the end? Because they will wear out very quickly at the end of this stint. But it's incredible stuff to watch here in Vietnam for the inaugural race here in ORL. Longway versus Idawu. Idawu deserved the win last week. Can he finally get it now? He had to get a puncture, of course, on the last corner last time. Hopefully he avoids that this time. Malaysia holding on very, very well in 3rd place, but the guys behind are flying up to him now as the tires are just dying on him. 13 laps he's into his stint. It's going to be tight whether he can get those to the end. And he could be in puncture territory, but you can see the looming figure of an Alfa Romeo of Jarno Opmeer closing up to that train. He could still be on for a podium, if not the win.
Certainly can be, and he's showing to be very, very quick. He's now nearly within a second of Kamal Common. Ahead of him, though, Nicholas Matteo, his teammate, now starting to gun on the back of Ruben Vallejo, who's in serious trouble now because they're on this long straight, and certainly this is where the overtakes are being made here today. As we now see the Williams and Ruben Vallejo. He's now going to have to defend for his life, but I think it's going to be too little too late. Those mediums are going to fall off. Here comes Matteo down the inside of that Williams. They come down towards the Hairpin Bend. Breaks after the 100. He gets it done. A phenomenal move there by Nicholas Matteo. Jarno Opmeer, Tomek Peradzik out of nowhere retakes P6 off the Dutchman. A great show of tenacity, but these two, it's not over. Jarno will want that place back.
Peradzik is really trying to keep in front of Jarno Opmeer here. Fantastic maneuver to get through, and now they're trying to close up and trying to get themselves on the podium here as they come across the line to start lap 23 next time. There's not long left in this race. Idawu is still piling on the pressure here to Nicholas Longway. Peradzik now makes it past Kamal Common. Brilliant stuff. Jarno Opmeer follows him through as well. Double overtake for those guys. But now I think Peradzik could be in trouble here. Remember what Jarno Opmeer tried earlier in the race? He tried a dive bomb here. Does he try it here again? No, he doesn't. He stays behind. But Peradzik now the lead car. 5-lap-old softs versus 14-lap-old mediums. I'm sure it's going to be a quick overtake for him.
This race is starting to hot up. This is for P3, folks. Pretty much the win is going to be decided between Nicholas Longway and Josh Idawu, but anything can happen in racing as we now see Jarno Opmeer in front of him. You can see Tomek making a move on Ruben Vallejo. This McLaren has been absolutely sterling in the second half of this Grand Prix, and he gets yet another move done before the semi-chicane and gets the job done. The Williams now relegated to P5, and now Jarno needs to find a way around and capitalise on his pace on the soft tyres as they now make their way down the stretch now. Ruben Vallejo knows that he's got this pressing Dutchman. Jarno Opmeer flying down the outside there, on the inside, of the Williams car. The Alpha looking menacing, makes his way round. Tomek Peradzik gets past Nicholas Matteo, the other Alpha in serious trouble, gets it done. Jarno up to P5 as well. Drama across the circuit. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the gap now between Peradzik to the leaders is 5 seconds. So Longway and Idawu have checked out. They've built the gap that they need. So these guys now are really in the battle for the lead right now. So it's going to be too much to ask, I think, for Peradzik to try and close up. Opmeer now needs to get past his young teammate who outqualified him earlier, remember, by 0.02 of a second on different strategies here. Matteo, I don't think he's going to make this too difficult for Jarno Opmeer. I think he's going to get him on the straight, on the finish line, but Jarno Opmeer still on for a podium here, but Peradzik now already built a second over him. Here comes Jarno Opmeer on his teammate with the DRS on the inside line. Matteo opens the door, backs off for him, and straight through now. Now he's got to try and overtake Tomek Peradzik, but I think the win this time might just be a little bit too much to ask. It's Longway versus Idawu for the win.
It certainly is. Josh Idawu pushing all he can, half a second in behind Nicholas Longway as they make their way down towards the semi-chicane. Longway still leading the way on equal length of soft tyres as well. Longway going maybe just a little wide there on the outset of that semi-chicane and certainly nearly rubbing the wall. We got yellow flags once again in Sector 3. Looking further down though, you can see the battles are still hotting up for P3. Tomek has still got a pressing and a punching Jarno Opmeer in P4. Currently just over 0.8 of a second behind him. Jarno, who both him and Nicholas Matteo successfully successfully dominating qualifying, have really got it all to do. That wing damage earlier on certainly did provide him with a bit of a headache, as we now see Josh Idowu late breaking there to try and catch up with the Frenchman Nicolas Longuet. It certainly seems to be that the strategy, like we said before the race, has certainly paid off here for Nicolas Longuet, and he's making the most of it on these soft tyres. Certainly looks strong here in the closing stages of this Grand Prix.
Exactly, Idaho putting on a really impressive performance once again here. The Welshman doing an excellent job. Of course, he started on the medium tyre as well. So these guys have made the alternate strategy where they've been all on different strategies, but they're now 1 and 2. Longuet now just edging out a tiny bit, 0.7 of a second he's got. But Idaho just needs to keep himself there in that DRS as they come across the line. They start lap 25 of 28. Not long to go now. And you can see now Jarno Opmeer is also a similar distance behind Tomac Peradzik for that final podium spot. But it's going to be interesting to see who's going to come out here. But Longuet now just managing the gap a small bit. Now he's managed to edge it out to 0.7 of a second. It's been closer than that before, but his Idaho just biding his time, saving the energy for a last 2-lap attack.
Certainly is, and still the drama still yet to unfold. Jarno Opmeer is still just over 0.7 of a second behind Tomac, but he will get a chance here if he can get into the DRS as well and try and close that time gap down. Tomac has got to look with one eye over his shoulder because he knows that the Dutchman's coming. Just looking ahead though, Josh Idowu, Nicolas Longuet, that time gap has pretty much frozen now as Matthias Collegon overtakes the damaged car of Kamil Common, who lost an end plate earlier on in the race after that entanglement with the Alfa Romeo. As you can now see, McLaren of Tomac still in P3. You can see though in hot pursuit, Jarno Opmeer will have the DRS down the stretch as he now goes round turn 10. You can now see Tomac, he's still just ahead, but that is starting to close on the front wing of the Alfa now. You can see it in the distance as they begin to round the hairpin bend. Look how close these guys are starting to become. We have still got one more battle on our hands. Nicolas Matteo, though, impressively still in P5.
Yeah, doing an excellent job as well. Ruben Vallejo is definitely taking those tyres to the end. He's done 16 laps in those medium tyres. He's going to be in danger of a puncture. He's falling down quite quickly here, but we'll see how he gets on at the end. Opmeer's fallen now a second behind Peradzik, so he's out of DRS range now. I wonder, has he just backed off, and he's saving the energy for an attack later on. But Idaho just keeping tabs on our leader now as they come across the line. 3 laps to go in Vietnam. What a race it's been so far, and it's Longuet versus Idaho for the win in Vietnam to break the streak of Jarno Opmeer. 5 from 5 he took, but I think, barring any absolutely massive crashes, I don't think we're going to see the 6 from 6.
Yeah, barring the crashes indeed. Hopefully we don't see any more now. Nicolas Longuet has been very impressive. Certainly the strategy has worked for him. Josh Idowu, though, might have a chance of his own here as they now make their way down towards the semi-chicane. He'll have DRS on the next straight. Longuet might be in trouble. It depends on how he can manage these tyres. They now round this swinging left-hander. Certainly he's going to be put to the test now as they now make their way down the stretch. Can the Renault hold on as they make their way down with 2 laps remaining? Remember, ORL, sponsored by HYPERX. Truly wireless here, but things are becoming truly wireless here at the end of this Grand Prix. Nicolas Longuet now making his way down the stretch. Josh Idowu, is he going to pull off a late break before the hairpin bend? Here comes the Welshman. Now whatever he says, dives down the inside. Switcheroo there from Nicolas Longuet, but here comes Josh Idowu. What a show of traction there by the Haas driver. Comes out on the outset. They're going in tandem as they make their way down towards the next right-hander. Josh Idowu all over this Renault of Nicolas Longuet, who runs wide. The pressure got too much. The Welshman is in P1. What a move, Jack.
Oh, Josh Idowu, what a lovely overtake. He caught a Longuet napping right there around the outside of the S's. The Welshman's in the lead, but this is not over. The gloves are off. Longuet now has a chance to try and overtake with 2 laps to go next time by. Idowu leads from Longuet. They got 5.1 seconds to Peradzik in third. Lap 27 of 28. Longuet now with the DRS. He has a chance to run behind Idowu.
He certainly has. Look at the energy bar there. He hasn't got a lot left. He is conserving everything right now. Just look at Josh Idowu, though. Similar stretch of ERS under his belt as well. It's going to be a straight fight between these two now. They're battling here in lap 27 and 28. Can Josh Idowu get the win that he is so richly desired this season? He has come close on separate occasions, battled with Jarno Opmeer and Speed Barry all season. Now the Welshman has a chance. Can he get that Haas on the podium for the first time this season? Can Jarno's winning streak come to an end? That is also another massive question as we now see Nicolas Longuet primed for the end of the move here on the Welshman. Will he get a chance now? They're on the stretch. It should be pretty elementary here because he's really starting to swerve up now on the Haas. The DRS has become active. They're coming down towards the hairpin bend, and indeed the Renault has done it. Nicolas Longuet, an elementary move, gets it done smooth as you like. Cracking job there by Nicholas Longue.
Well, now this is going to be interesting because Idaho is going to be on the attack on the final lap of this race. He's going to he's trying something again to try and get past here in this twisty S section here. It's Colligan and Matteo going at it behind as well. Colligan trying to hold off against Matteo. He now slots in front of him, but now we're going to keep our eyes on the lead battle because that's what we want to see between these two. Don't come together, boys. You fought so well thus far, but here they come through the last sector right now. Longue holds on for now, but he's got to try and keep a charging Welshman behind him who so richly deserved the win last week. Final lap of the race, Longue versus Idaho. Who's going to come out on top?
It's going to be a battle right to the end here, Jack. We're going to be looking forward to this one. Keep your eyes peeled, folks. This is going to be special. You can see Josh Idaho there trying to recharge that energy, ready for one final strike down that long stretch. You can now see Nicholas Longue still leading the way. That Renault doing sterling work there to stay on track. We thought he was dead and buried after Josh Idaho overtook him earlier on, but Nicholas Longue showed that he had a mean streak. But already you can see the Haas now starting to career on the back of the Frenchman now as they move their way into the semi-chicane. Nicholas Longue still trying to grasp that lead at the moment. We're not sure what the penalty situation is at this moment in time, but Nicholas Longue is still in front as we can now see Josh Idaho in behind. There's currently a time gap of 0.6 of a second in between these guys. They now make their way down the stretch, and it looks like Nicholas Longue has provided a gap large enough to negate the attack from Josh Idaho. It looks like this is Nicholas Longue's battle that he's won. To be fair, Jack, it is to lose right now.
Yeah, it's in the last sector. Longue, I think, has just done enough to keep himself. As Jarno collides with Paradzik in the background. They go side by side. Paradzik squeezes him to the wall. Oh, that's rough between those guys. Jarno side by side with Paradzik now as they come into the final sector. This is going to be tight between these two. Paradzik squeezes him to the outside line. Oh, it's just going to come out very, very close between these two. Paradzik slots in front. But here they come to the last sector. Idaho with Longue ahead of him. He's managed to keep himself in front for now, but that was messy between Paradzik and But here we go to the line now. Nicholas Longue through the last two corners howls up. He wins the Vietnam Grand Prix for the first time. Idaho is second. Tomek Paradzik and Jarno, I'm sure it's going to be investigated, but the streak is broken. Nicholas Longue finally breaks Jarno streak. What a fight between himself and Idaho.
What a race there by Nicholas Longue. The strategy proved fruitful as he has now won the Vietnam Grand Prix, the very first Vietnam Grand Prix here at ORL, sponsored by HYPERX. A phenomenal drive there by the Frenchman there. Josh Idaho, take a bow yourself. The Welshman was incredible, but you'll have to wait yet another race for that elusive first place, but a phenomenal drive nonetheless. The battles across the track were phenomenal. Credit to Tomek Paradzik, who's come back today in ORL to retain that P3 spot. Jarno Opmeer tried to snatch it at the death. He is outside the podium places for the first time this season. No win for the Dutchman here today, but it's all about Nicholas Longue. The Frenchman has struck a real decisive blow here at Vietnam.
Well, it was about time that Jarno Opmeer got himself off the podium, but you can't take 5 wins away from him. It's the first time he hasn't won, and it's the first time that he hasn't been on the podium this season, but still P4 even after the wing damage. A hard battle with Tomek Paradzik, with Paradzik getting on the podium. Josh Idaho, he tried everything, but still couldn't get that elusive win. Only 0.6 of a second behind Nicholas Longue, but Longue did everything right. He started on the hard tire, went straight through to the front, and pulled off a masterclass strategy. Well done to Longue.
Well, Nicholas Longue moved from Red Bull, obviously, to get himself a very, very good main seat at Renault, and he's certainly showing to be no slouch. A P1 here for the Frenchman. Let's look at the final classification here of this race. The Frenchman does it. Nicholas Longue is your P1 here today at Vietnam. Josh Idaho, the Welshman, in P2. Tomek Paradzik, P3. Jarno Opmeer outside the top 3 for the first time this season. Calcifer in P5. Ben Szabo, P6. Matthias Colligan there, P7. Nicholas Matteo, the other Alpha, in P8. Ruben Vallejo in P9. Campbell Com on P10 in the points for that man in the Racing Point. Falcon Tim in P11, Zones in P12, Falcon Roy P13, Freddie Rasmussen, who we lost during the race, down in P14, and of course DNF's there for Corny, Whippech, Donoso, and Nakarunen, De Rijker, and Lucas UK. But what a phenomenal race, folks. It has been absolutely unreal. Don't forget as well to check out HYPERX for all your wireless needs. We're hoping that we're going to have some driver interviews now shortly, folks, but it has been a very special race. Jack, what were your thoughts on that one? That was truly an exquisite race, a very different race to what we've already seen this season.
that was special for the first ever Vietnam Grand Prix. Absolutely brilliant. So how about a quick shout out to Calcify for a top 5 finish. He was kind of under the radar the whole way through, but an absolutely fantastic job. What an amazing race. I think we have got some drivers waiting for us. I believe we have Nicholas Longway waiting for us, George.
We do indeed. Nicholas Longay is now in the chat. I think we'll just have to move him just over to our server. Won't be a sec. We're just moving him in now. Tomek is here as well. And here they are. Nicholas, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we
Oh,
can.
nice. All right.
How you doing, Nicholas?
Well,
a phenomenal victory from yourself out of nowhere. Your first race at ORL, and you get a P1. How do you feel, mate?
Well, first of all, thanks, man. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty happy. Not gonna lie, I wasn't really expecting to get a win on my return to league racing or whatever we want to call it. But yeah, the race went perfectly as planned. I guess I decided to go with the opposite strategy, which worked, and everyone had really good pace. I was surprised by my pace. I didn't really expect it, but yeah, congrats to Josh. Josh was really fast and put a lot of pressure on me. But yeah, at the end of the day, I got the win, and yeah, I guess.
Well, huge credit to yourself. I mean, obviously, I don't think many people were prepared for what was going to happen at Vietnam. Certainly, a lot of drivers were having difficulty negotiating the walls as they were pushing the car around that circuit. Just give us a taster as to how hard or how tough that circuit really is, because it certainly looked like it was a strenuous drive out there.
Yeah, I truly believe this track has become one of the hardest ones in the calendar, purely because of the walls. I would like to think that Hanoi is a harder track than Monaco because of the high speed that you need to carry, especially in the last sector. You need to be so close to the walls. But yeah, I'm literally sweating and my back hurts, and I just can't wait to go home, to be honest.
I bet. I know. Obviously, given the fact that it's just so tough, and just, I suppose you were relieved almost to get to the end. I mean, obviously, Josh, like you said, pushed you all the way. Just to say, though, obviously the strategy paid off. I'd imagine that was obviously a plan that you hatched right before the race, and you obviously felt confident riding it through towards the end.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was the strategy. I decided to start on the hards purely because I didn't really like the softs at the beginning of the race. So I just decided to give it a shot, and luckily it worked.
Well, congratulations to yourself, Nicholas. Welcome to ORL, and well done on winning in great fashion.
Very much, guys. See you next week.
Will do. Josh, you're back in the podium circle once again. Not P1 this time, though. It looked like you might snatch it at the end, but it just wasn't to be. Just talk us through that race, Josh.
Yeah, it was a fun race. Obviously gutted not to win again, but yeah, quali we messed up. We were trying to go for 11th as the whole grid pretty much was, but we got 15th, and then we were just slow in the first stint. I think that's what lost me the race, to be honest. We couldn't catch Nico on the hards when we were on the softs. So yeah, that was pretty much what lost the race for us there. But then I was surprised when he pitted the same lap as me. I thought you'd go a bit further, or go on to the mediums. But yeah, it was a fun battle, and GG to him for the win.
What was the tyre degradation like around that circuit? Because obviously there's a lot of corners around Vietnam. I'm just obviously curious as to, obviously you guys drive at maximum pace. How do those tyres really suffer on that asphalt circuit?
Depending on how you drive. If you go flat out, especially through sector 3, then you can light up the rears. I was okay on my tyres. I think I was pretty decent. But yeah, it's just generally a tricky track. More because of the walls, to be honest. You have to be focused 100% of the time. So,
well, credit to you once again. The bridesmaid, never the bride, unfortunately. Obviously, you're knocking on the door, though, quite consecutively. Are you feeling confident, though? Do you think you can get that crucial P1 under your belt before the end of the season?
I hope so. if I don't get a win in this season, then yeah, something's wrong.
Well, I got to say, you've been absolutely mesmeric this season. Very positive response from you today after the recent struggles in the last couple of races, but excellent showing of grinding through that race, certainly around a difficult track. So congratulations on another P2.
Thank you.
We've also got Tomek Paradzis in the chat as well. Tomek, how are you doing?
Oh, really good. Finally. On the podium.
Welcome to the chat for the first time.
Yeah, it took way longer than I wanted it to. But yeah, really happy to get the podium today.
I mean, how were you feeling? Because obviously towards the end, you must have been really sweating. Jarno Watmir was right in your slipstream towards the end. It looked like he might have had you as well. Went for a real questionable manoeuvre towards the end. It looked like it was going to be hair him, scare him. How did you feel after the end of that battle?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Jarno did go for a move from really far back, which I did not expect. Yeah, just I didn't expect it, and since the tires were so dead at that point, something like that just caused both of us to really struggle. A lot of contact, we couldn't get the grip anymore. But yeah, I think I'll talk that with Jarno. I think I wouldn't go into any whoever fault that was. I think that was just a hard battle. So yeah, really happy with the podium. Maximized the strategy. Unfortunately, got a 5-second stop go for a contact, not contact, but Dino pushed me off in turn 1, which caused me to have to go wide, and the game just gave me a 5-second penalty, which, yeah, unfortunately cost me the touch with the leaders. I feel like I definitely could have been up there with them and maybe challenged for the win. But yeah, a podium is still an amazing result and a good boost of confidence going to the next rounds.
Well, congratulations to you as well. I mean, I've got to say, looking at it, it looked like it was fair racing, certainly between you and Jarno. Obviously, it's a very, it's a new track that's been brought to us. And as I said to the other guys, obviously very keen to understand the strategies involved. Obviously, it seems to favour, I think, guys who start P10 and back. Would you agree with that, given the fact that the result planned out as it was? Or is it just a case that you've just got to keep the car on circuit and hope for the best?
To be honest, I think Vietnam is a very specific track because realistically, the softs at the start are quite bad. So that's why you saw a majority of people go for try to stand back quali. And it was obvious to all of us that that's going to be the case today. So yeah, I think generally we're seeing the pattern that starting outside the top 10, if you are fast, you can really maximize the result out of you saw Jarno do it like twice before, and today is just a brilliant example. Top 3 all starting from like down the grid, which I think just proves that that free tire selection at the start is really crucial and can get you a really good result if you keep it together, get through traffic nicely. And I think that's what we did today. And I won't be surprised if we see more strategies like this in the next races. Next we have China. We might see the exact same thing. We never know.
Absolutely, full of question marks certainly around China. But I suppose it's nice to see a street circuit where overtakes can be made, because I can imagine that backstretch must be like a breath of fresh air. Certainly in racing today, because you don't see a straight like that in a street circuit, do you?
Yeah, I mean, Vietnam is very specific. I seem to like it. It reminds me of Monaco, but it's a little bit more forgiving in some places. But yeah, in general, it's nice to have a new track, and it's really fun to drive. I'm not gonna lie. It's once you put the laps together and get the consistency down, it's really, really good. But it's also punishing. So whenever you're driving, you need to watch yourself, because one mistake, especially in the last corner, that can catch you off really easily. So yeah, just gonna stay on your toes, but at the same time, it's such a fun circuit to drive.
Well, credit to you on joining us in the podium circle for the first time this season. So congratulations to you, Tomek, on that great P3. Well done.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Jack, once again, a classic, a phenomenal race once again here at ORL for many, many different reasons. Jarno not managing to seal his win on the board for the first time this season, so he now is outside the P3 for the first time. Obviously, back to normal from this week onwards now?
I hope not. It's been this is the one day we've had something mixed up in the order, so fantastic. I hope it stays like this. Hope we get some different winners. But the inaugural race of Vietnam, I mean, you can't get much better than that. The different strategies, the different curveballs thrown in, with Jarno getting wing damage and everybody fighting for every ounce of track. I mean, you really can't get better than this. So hopefully we get something similar at Shanghai next week. So we'll see how that transpires.
We certainly will. Guys, I would like to thank everyone in the live chat as well today for joining us for this ORL race. Don't forget as well to check out HYPERX for all your wireless needs indeed. Plenty of products there available for you guys to check out. So give them a follow on Twitter as well. Don't forget to check us, like and subscribe as well. And join us once again next week for the Chinese Grand Prix at ORL. And we'll hope to bring you more exciting action. Today was not Jarno's day after wing damage scupping his race. Today was the day for Nicholas Longe. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.